Scottish Renewables is the representative body for the sector in Scotland. We've got around 315 members. Our core purpose, our main job, is to lobby government to create the optimal legislative, regulatory and fiscal conditions for the growth of the industry here in Scotland. I think the industry has grown way faster than anyone would have thought just a few years ago. Despite all the myths, despite all the attacks from people that are opposing renewables, this is a sector which already provides around a third of Scotland's electricity demands. Once we get built out, everything that's through the plan system will provide over half of Scotland's electricity demands. And of course, we now have a target that in just 9 years' time, Scotland's renewable sector will provide 100% the annual demand from every home and every business in the country.
That's a hugely ambitious target. There's a lot of optimism within the industry. What do you see as the main challenges and barriers maybe to achieving that target?
It is an ambitious target, but when you actually look at the levels of development that are needed to hit it, and if you look at the projects that industry want to take forward, you'll see it's ambitious, but it's very much attainable. We need just steady growth in onshore wind. We need around a third to a half of the projects that have already been agreed with the Crown Estate offshore. We need around a quarter of the projects in wave and tidal that have been agreed with the Crown Estate. And we need what most people would see as a pretty modest increase in both hydro and biomass. And I would say that that's the least that Scotland, the country with the best wind, the best wave, the best tidal resource in Europe, that's the very least that Scotland should be aiming for by 2020. Now, it won't happen on its own, and we can't take it for granted. We launched a document yesterday setting out the actions that we think government need to take if we're to meet that ambition. And the three main challenges, three most complex but fundamental challenges, are new grid connections, so that we can get power from incredibly resource-rich areas like Shetland, like Orkney, the Western Isles to the mainland. New grid connections with the rest of the UK so that Scotland's properly integrated within the British system. And of course a new way of charging for those grid connections so that peripheral areas don't pay massively more charges than places here on the mainland. The second thing we've identified is around bringing in new investment to the sector, and that's around the electricity market reform, making sure that there's a transparent, simple market mechanism that gives viable returns and gives investors certainty and security over the longer term. And the third thing we want to see is around planning consents. So onshore, we've made tremendous progress, and that's because we've seen a really progressive and dynamic changes to the planning system, strong national guidelines informing local decisions. But as we go offshore, we're actually having to create a whole new planning framework. And what we want to see is fundamentally it's the right balance between the need to conserve our most sensitive and important natural environments with the need to promote renewable energy in order to tackle climate change, which is absolutely and fundamentally the biggest threat to those environments.
There seems to be really strong progress in Scotland, particularly on electricity. What are the challenges for renewable heat?
The first thing we've asked the Scottish Government to do is increase its ambitions for heat, because we believe we can go beyond the existing target of 11%. That's going to take proper engagement with the sector, raising awareness of the renewable heat incentive and the potential cost savings and revenues that can create for business. Transport, we need to look at the infrastructure requirements for both electric vehicles and potentially greater use of biofuels sourced and produced sustainably here in Scotland. And if we can do all those things, allied with our new electricity target, that would take Scotland from very much bottom of the class in Europe in terms of renewable energy to absolutely one of the top 3 or 4 performers by 2020. And we think that's an ambition that everyone in Scotland should sign up to.